Escapologist. I'm the fairy voice mother, and today I'm going to be reviewing Matilda the musical from 2022, which was last year now. Isn't that crazy? It wasn't something that I planned to do on the channel, but on New Year's Eve I found myself with a few hours to kill, and so I looked on Netflix for a little film to watch and I stumbled upon this. And so I watched it and developed a few opinions and made some observations about particularly the singing part of it. I just thought it would be a good idea. I know what you're thinking. Wow, what a nice top you have. You look like a snazzy little bee. You too can own such a fetching garment as this. This is from... She is a wonderful artist and sells the cutest stuff ever. High quality goods for your fine self. If I don't bore you too much today and you do want to stick around to the end, I will be reading some of these oracle cards that she sent me too. Today we're gonna read this one at the end. So let's just settle down with a nice kombucha or your beverage of choice. Hopefully your beverage of choice is less stressful than mine. And let's talk about Matilda the musical. Matilda is a terrifying tale written by British novelist Roald Dahl, allegedly for children, but I think that's questionable. And like most Roald Dahl stories, it is about good versus evil, love versus hate, trauma versus bravery, and graphically heinous child abuse. Roald Dahl stories are definitely for the morbidly curious. It's for the kind of kids that later grow up and enjoy documentaries about serial killers or those pimple popping videos. So the story is a courageous, genius teeny-weeny bambini suffers abominable neglect from her parents. A nice lady called Miss Honey whisks her away to school to nurture her talents. But the headmistress, Miss Trunchbull, is emotionally abusing Miss Honey, plus all the other bambinos at the school. Now, as Matilda has so much practice in being abused by literally everyone she's ever met, except an incredibly gorgeous librarian called Mrs. Phelps, who is now my idol, she is the first in the school to snap and stand up to Miss Trunchbull. No! By convincing her she's being haunted by Miss Honey's dad and throwing her out of a glass ceiling with nothing but her eyes, because she also can do telekinesis. So now Miss Honey owns the school.
This is my school now.
And moves out of her literal shed.
Wow. They pay teachers really badly.
That she lived in because it was all she could afford as Miss Trunchbull. Not only was she incredibly abusive to Miss Honey, she also stole all of her money. And Miss Honey adopts Matilda, and together they move in to this massive mansion and they live happily ever codependent. The whole story is just trauma after trauma after trauma consecutively, and then it ends. But honestly, I think out of all of the mind-bogglingly atrocious traumas experienced by the characters in this movie, Miss Trunchbull almost certainly will have the most expensive therapy bill. Someone must have hurt her so badly. I would really love to see a prequel that would explain why she is just like...
The ears of small boys do not come off. They stretch.
Yeah. Back to the point of why are you, fairy voice mother, a lowly vocal coach reviewing a film? You know nothing about films. Well, not only did this film feature incredible acting, set design, costume design, script, colour palettes, and a scene at the beginning with a bunch of balloons that really reminded me of little sperms. I read that every actor in this movie performed the songs themselves, and oftentimes they actually sang live while they were shooting. I just feel compelled to discuss it so we can just understand a little bit better about how these vocal performances worked, why they worked, and how you can of course try and replicate them yourself. So I'm going to be analysing the vocal performances of 4 characters in the movie. Alisha Weir, who was Matilda, Lashana Lynch, who played Miss Honey, Carl Spencer, who played the Escapologist, and none other than Emma Thompson, who has the most beautiful singing voice, and I had absolutely no idea, which was a humongous good surprise. She plays Miss Trunchbull. So that's the point of this video today. However, I do just want to discuss a few honourable and dishonourable mentions before we get to the party. I loved everything about this movie. Except one thing, and I'm laughing because it's ridiculous and I can't take myself seriously, but we'll get there. Anyway, the kids in this film were ridiculously amazing. Ridiculously amazing. And I was a theatre school teacher for many years, and I know that a lot of theatre kid style performances can sometimes be slightly annoying, especially with all the posh English accents, which I'm going to talk about a little bit more in a moment. This had a lot of potential to come across as obnoxious and contrived, but it wasn't. These kids were so mature. They must have taken direction extremely well. They must have been so patient and took this so serious. This girl was explosive and captivating. And this scene with Bruce at the front there as well, it gave me chills the whole time. They were doing this little shuffly thing down the corridor. It was... When the little girl that played Lavender kissed the newt through the glass, I cried. Anything this kid did, I was like crying, because he's literally the cutest kid I've seen in my entire life. He's just impossibly cute. Like, how could a human be this cute? I don't know.
And when I grow up.
Oh my god. Honestly, just because of my weirdly sensitive personality, I suppose, I was just on the verge of tears like the whole time throughout this movie. Seeing them shining in their best light. It is so important to nurture talent the way that these kids' talents have obviously been nurtured, because so many amazing things can happen, not just for them, but for everyone who is wildly entertained by this amazing thing called a film. Okay. There was one more good thing that I forgot to mention, which was the inclusion of an extremely unnecessary but weirdly hilarious fart noise.
Nigel.
It was comic relief from this appalling discrimination. So before I explain anything, I would just like to play a little game with you of spot the difference.
Mr. Wormwood, I would love to take Matilda.
But that's not right. He didn't do anything.
The boy's doomed.
Wholesome, loving individuals with posh English accents and despicable dregs of society.
You can't just stick him in the back. I got two, boy. Cut him in half and Bob's your chipmunk. How can grapes be angry?
I won't do it.
Child abusers with Cockney accents. Why? This is how all of my family talk. This is how I talk. I try to put on a voice that is very clear when I teach and make videos to be understood. Not because I thought that by having a Cockney accent, I become a child of Satan. I was really trying to understand the director's warped, twisted, vicious mind when they made this choice. This accent is from East and South East London, so I thought maybe it's because of the very popular British TV show Only Fools and Horses, which has characters in it that speak exactly like this, and they con people. But
we're on a winner here, tree, all right? Play it nice and cool, son. Nice and cool, you know what I mean?
just to even it out a little bit, maybe they could have given the librarian a Cockney accent as well. So it's like, okay, well, you know, there is a bit of a migration of people from the East End into this picturesque, quaint English village. Oh, and the other thing, like, schools do not look like Hogwarts in England. Some of you might have gone to a school like this if your parents could pay for a private education, but most of us will have gone to schools that look like this. But, you know, who am I to speak for the rest of the British population? Because apparently I grew up in the depths of hell with the rest of the evil Cockneys. I'm glad that's finally off my chest. So I think that's everything. Let's talk about the singing.
Wonder why they didn't just change their story. We're told we have to do what we're told, but surely sometimes you have to be a little bit naughty.
This little girl, Alisha Weir, is actually from Ireland. She has a Dublin accent.
I read like all of the Mallory Towers books because I loved them.
And she's able to speak with this perfectly posh English accent and sing in it. She's so inside this character that everything she does with her voice has to be exactly what Matilda would do. So I would guess if she's singing a song that isn't in this movie, her voice would have a different character altogether because the singing would come probably from more of her natural talking voice, which isn't this at all. And she's also able to express really charming, impactful dynamics.
I wonder why they didn't just change their story.
moving the voice away from a little bit of aspiration into strength. Sometimes you have to be a little bit naughty.
Just because you find that life's not fairish doesn't mean that you just have to grin and bear it.
And we know it's live because you can tell in this scene as she sings and she's jumping up and down on the bed, her voice is doing the perfectly corresponding jolt.
Just because you find.
So even if this was mixed in with some studio vocals, perhaps it was, but she was definitely singing at that time.
You just have to grin and bear it. If you always take it on the chin and wear it, nothing will change.
Nothing will change. So she's opening the inside of her mouth so much that her voice is really able to resonate, which is why you get such a clear, brilliant sound. When we open the space inside of the mouth the way she's doing there, the soft palate lifts inside here and means that more resonance comes out of her mouth. When we don't open this little trapdoor mechanism, nothing will change. That's when a lot of the sound gets trapped in the nose. When it comes to thinking about how to make someone sound less nasal and less whiny, it's not about the actual vocal production itself, it's about how it's resonating. We can get very confused and we're taught to sing more breathy or more like an opera singer or whatever, but actually if you just open your mouth properly, a lot of the unwanted symptoms of twangy, bright singing, like nasal resonance, would be reduced. So we've got a lovely combination of nasal and oral resonance.
Like the sound when you lie upside down in your bed. Just the sound of your heart in your head. And though there are people around me, their mouths are still moving. The words they are forming cannot reach me anymore.
Oh, she's so cute. Oh, she's so adorable and beautiful. I love her. Kind of quiet. She has to transition there between two registrations. That is incredibly difficult for a girl of her age. I think she was probably 11 or 12 when she was filming this. The voice starts to undergo some serious changes around about this time, and it makes it quite unstable. So the fact that she's able to do this with a developing and therefore slightly fragile voice anatomically, yeah, it's wonderful. And when she sings this long note of more,
Cannot reach me anymore.
that's in a full voice that really could have broken at any time if she was to lose a part of her control, but it didn't. She relied on her technique. She's got a lovely open, long mouth, meaning she isn't doing any naughty larynx squeezing and lifting. When we do have a high note, it is quite tempting to do like more, because we want to just lift it and get it out, but it never resonates well. And that is why, even if one can hit the note in this method, it doesn't sound good. But when we do anymore is, whew, obviously I'm trying to do an impression of an 11-year-old, which is difficult, but she's able to keep her larynx relaxed enough so that it isn't too high and squeezy, but not dropped to the point where she would lose stability in the note. And she has good breath support because you can see a couple of times in there, her belly is moving.
Or a pause.
Not what a lot of kids do is take a big bunch of air into their chest and then lose it all. A big reason why kids do this, by the way, more than adults, this big kind of gaspy breath to belt out a no, is because simply they just don't have the same lung capacity. Their lungs aren't fully grown yet. And when it's really little children, their lungs aren't even in the right place yet. And so this is when training comes in. She's obviously trained so hard for this role. I was extremely smitten with this little bambina. She was amazing. Next, we're going to talk about Lashana Lynch, who played Miss Honey. She was gorgeous. She was a perfect Miss Honey. She managed to act so nervous the whole time. It made me feel nervous. Her responses to Miss Trunchbull were so visceral. So we're going to listen to the song that she sang about her shed. I don't know what it's called.
I came across this old shed.
But it's about a shed.
This roof keeps me dry when the rain falls. This door helps to keep the cold at bay. On this floor I can stand on my own 2 feet.
This is another example of a vocal performance that sounds so much like the voice of the character. But the subtleties, like when she says, you know, in here I stand on my own 2 feet, and then she kind of did like a mini nervous laugh.
Or I can stand on my own 2 feet.
As if she felt like, oh, that was a bit brave of me to say that, because the character is so beaten down.
On this chair I can write my lessons. On this pillow I can dream my nights away. On this table, as you can see,
Constant little nervous smiling and laughing.
well, it's perfect for tea. It isn't much, but it is enough for me.
And then when the nervous smile drops, it's really poignant.
You know,
Miss Honey, she's got your father's house. She's got everything that's yours.
on
little
these
bit
walls
darker
I
tone
have
when she did
wonderful pictures. Through this window I can watch the seasons change. By this lamp I can read, and I am set free.
And so now the nervous smiles and laughter is getting less frequent as Matilda's questioning her, and she's looking around trying to be like, no, I'm fine, really, I'm fine, this is enough. But you can tell it's starting to fade the deeper that she's going into it.
And when it's cold outside, I feel no fear. Even in the winter storms, I am warmed by a small but stubborn fire.
I haven't heard her sing anything else, so I don't know if this is something she usually does, but there isn't much full voice happening. When she goes up to her higher notes to make sure that they're not too powerful, she's using a little bit of aspiration. Have no fear. It's still delicate.
It isn't much, but it is enough for me.
But it's not, is it, Miss Honey?
For this is my house. This is my house.
Another really good use of the diphthong. My house. From ma to e to help that note lift.
This is my house. This is my house. It isn't much, but it is enough. And when it's cold and bleak, I feel no fear. Even in the fiercest storm, I am warmed by a small but stubborn fire.
Stubborn fire! That full registration creeps in a little bit here now to build the power.
Everything I need is in you.
Oh my god. Her face, like, ugh. Wow.
It isn't much, but it is enough
The little lip.
for me.
Ugh.
It isn't much, but it is enough.
Oh my god. Yeah. Woo! Okay. She doesn't sound like someone that prioritizes singing as a really significant part of her craft. It's all about the acting, and her voice is just being a vehicle to the acting. If you had trained a lot in singing, you get this muscle memory that gives you a very specific, clear, resonant, bright tone. You would use very specific face shapes to accommodate the vowels consistently. And what she was doing came across as slightly less experience. I think she probably did a lot of singing practice for the role, but not necessarily years and years and years of intense vocal training, just because the characteristics of the voice don't have those kind of traditional values. Regardless of that, I adored this. I really did. I think it made the performance probably even more moving than if a really experienced, technically fabulous singer were to have sung it. And I think it makes the musical movie concept more watchable, because she kind of just slipped into that, and at no point do you think the character is compromised. Like, you could almost believe that she is actually just talking to Matilda in tune there, and I wouldn't have changed a thing about it. Moving on to Carl Spencer, who we saw a little glimpse of in that clip before. He plays an escapologist in this movie as part of a little side plot, and I don't want to give you any spoilers, but he's in the movie. And I just remember watching it and listening to him sing and just constantly making like little ooh sounds, like ooh. Oh, it was just really good, so let's just have a little look, shall we?
Don't cry, I am here, little girl. Please don't cry, dry your eyes, wipe away your tears. Little girl, forgive me, I didn't mean to desert you.
This is someone who I would guess is an extremely accomplished singer who has done those years of vocal training. Just that tone, the tone and the vibrato were so locked in, with the occasional exception of this little deviance where he cries into the note. But it isn't just a little cry, like I'm here, like a little thing that we would hear all the time. It's, you know, oldest trick in the book. It was an actual, like, yeah, I'll show you what I mean.
I didn't mean to desert you.
I didn't mean to desert you. I can't do it. You wouldn't naturally cry on 2. You would usually cry on a note that doesn't have such a harsh consonant in front of it. O-I would be easy. O-I, because it's all open and you can just, It makes you believe his emotion more because it's like he's choking up at spontaneous points. It was so rich and warm, but he was resonating it quite high for the E vowels. I'm here. It was just such a beautiful combination of lightness with the resonance and darkness in the power. Beautiful character, beautiful singing. I wish he had more songs. And then this little duet.
Forgive me,
Daddy, forgive me.
I didn't mean to desert you.
I didn't want to upset you. Please, Daddy, don't cry.
little
I'll be alright with you by my side. I have nothing.
See, now he's in this kind of more intimate, soft setting, you know, he's putting the little girl to bed. He's got slightly more of a lullaby voice and he's softened the consonants a lot more. Don't cry, little girl. Oh, so good. So there's one more singer to review today, and one might say we have saved the best till last. Now, best is obviously subjective, but in terms of like biggest surprise, in terms of like, this is Emma Thompson, this is literally Nanny McPhee.
I am Nanny McPhee.
This is the really nice lady in Love Actually that Snape bought a Joni Mitchell CD for instead of a nice necklace.
God, that's a surprise.
But here we are.
Look at my trophies, see how my trophies gleam in the sunlight, see how they shine. What do you think it took to become English hammer throwing champion 1959? Do you think in that moment, when my big moment came, that I treated the rules with casual disdain? Well, like hell.
The way that it transitions from the speaking voice into the singing voice is barely noticeable until all of a sudden you're like, hang on a minute, there's music. Now there's a little bit of vibrato and dropped jaw and resonance. Oh my gosh, she's singing! It's like becoming another character and then singing as that character. How would that character speak, and then how would that character speak, sing? Like, it's amazing.
As I started my spin, did I look at the view? Did I drift off and dream for a minute or two? Do you think I faltered or amended my rotation? Do you think I altered my intended elevation? As the hammer took off, did I change my grunt from the grunt I had practiced for many a month?
The grunt I had practiced for many a month! Like an extreme vocal technique, an actual force-fold little growl to a speak, sing, to then belting some higher pitches all in one phrase, live while she was acting.
Not a jot, not a dot did I stray from the plot. Not a detail of my throw was adjusted or forgotten. Not even when the hammer left my hands and sailed high up above the stairs.
And now she's really singing above the stairs. Proper tilted larynx here.
If you want to throw the hammer for your country, you have to stay inside the circle all the time.
But this is as if she's mimicking one of those old-fashioned, like, infomercials.
Balanced diet, I said. That's what we women need.
If you want to throw the hammer. Much brighter, as opposed to where she was before, which would have been like, if you want to throw. She's had to make that physical adjustment to lift the voice. And that requires a different breath pressure, of course, because there's less mass. She might need a little bit less breath and the different placement.
If you want to make the team, you don't need happiness or self-esteem. You just need to keep your feet inside the line. Sing, children. 2, 3, 4.
Okay, this is hilarious. I can't put too much of this film in this video because I'm scared of my account being taken down with a copyright blog. It's on Netflix, by the way. Oh my gosh. And if you thought that vocal performance was impressive, good grief, you have heard nothing yet. Wait till you see what she does here.
Come along, Squints. I'll take it from here, Jenny. The smell of rebellion comes out in the sweat, and fizzes will get you sweating.
I will just mention that this hoodie skirt combination with the belt, I think she actually looks really good. So I don't know if that was the intention, but the outfit slaps.
Before a weed becomes too big and greedy, you really need to nip it in the bud. Before the worms start to turn, you must scrape off.
That mouth position is no accident. Before the worms start to turn. We get so much resonance and fullness there, which means you don't have to try as hard, which is very important when you have to do this vocal performance live. You don't have the perfect conditions to support your voice. The foundation of this voice production is twang, which is that kind of sound. And so when you resonate a twangy voice in a big open, narrow space, you can see how it naturally just starts to project more. I'm not trying any harder. If we're to sing without twang, this mouth position is not really going to help us at all. I'm not able to build any real kind of resonance. It's going to start to sound a little bit shouty, and I'm using all of my breath. So,
Twang it up.
twang is basically a little lid called the epiglottis that covers the larynx and means that the sound resonates more where it's produced. A twangy sound is much easier to control. But yeah, so she's resonating it lovely.
Some double time discipline should stop the rot from setting in. Discipline for children who aren't listening, for fiddlers who are fidgeting and whispering in history. They're chattering and chittering, they're nattering and twittering. Is tempered with a smattering of discipline. We must begin insisting on rigidity and discipline, persistently resisting this anarchistic mischief in these minutes you are frittering on pandering and pitying on little ones like this. You just need discipline. The tempering and whimpering, the dribbling and the squiggling, the miss I need a tissue, it's an issue we can fix. There is no...
The breath control, the diction, the ability to go from what she just did there, a thick, speechy placement with that twang, thick vocal folds, to a thin vocal sound up there with still good pitch and then back down again. Oh my goodness.
Imagine a world with no children. Close your eyes and just dream. Imagine, go on, try it. The peace and the quiet.
Imagine a world, forward open placement, and then when she comes back, go on, just try it. That's a very squeezed placement back here, so they've gone from here to here in a couple of phrases. The variety of sounds she has access to is truly impressive.
Have you ever seen anything more repellent? Have you ever smelled anything worse than that smell of rebellion?
Oh, a consistently belted B the whole time. Worse than the smell of rebellion. While she was moving through different lyrics, and the reason that is so difficult is because when you have to move the tongue and the lips and the mouth in general, it upsets the breath flow and all of the things that the voice wants to keep consistent. If this shape is changing, then this mechanism is going to want to change as well because it's all connected. It's usually much easier just to hold these notes on at the top. Because at least I can actually start to establish some consistency the vocal folds can get used to, and then I kind of just have to keep it all flowing. But when you have to pronounce loads of lyrics on the same note over and over again, you don't have that consistency. So good.
And I will not stop till you quashed, till this rebellion is quashed, till glorious sweaty discipline has washed this sickening stench away.
Did you have any idea that Emma Thompson could sing like that? Because I didn't. I think that ending spoke for itself. So I'm just gonna leave it there. And, you know, doing this video today has been quite cathartic for the personal offence I took with regards to the vilification of the Cockney accent. There's just too much to love about this movie to be mad, so I do believe this film could offer you a good time, should you wish to have one. And that's it. So last but not least, let's read out this little oracle card. Here we go. It says, "Ooh, naughty. Have you forgotten how to play? Make some mischief. Create a bit of harmless chaos. Bring some laughter into your life. Maybe you need to introduce others to the benefits of mischief making. Are you a master mischief maker right now? Just make sure it's for the right reasons." I think that's quite pertinent, you know, because sometimes you have to be a little bit naughty. So there you go. This is the cover of the next oracle card that we will use in the next video. Be there. Thank you so much for watching this video today. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I've enjoyed making it. If there are any singers you would like to see me react to, or indeed any musical movies you would like to watch me review, as this is a brand new concept on this channel, I don't know if it's gonna flop, I don't know if you guys are gonna like it, but if you do, let me know down below in the comments, and it would truly be my pleasure. Have a wonderful day. I love you so much, and I cannot wait to see you again in the next video. Mwah. Bye!